Well, good hello to you. You've reached the Al Newport Show. I'm your host, Alexander T. Newport, your Philobabblist Extraordinaire. It is the 23rd of February, 2019. Our friend Jock Horror has made the rounds, and that's a groovy thing. Very potent, very powerful, very stinky. This is a video about being nice. I mean, there's a lot of shitty things that go on in this world. You read it in the news, you know, the brutal rapes, the brutal murders, kidnappings, just the various injustices. And so it's you know, it can be kind of easy to get mired in the bad news of the world, or the bad news of your own disappointments and worry and so forth. It's easy to get mired in that shit. But when you realize that it's all intentional, spiritually speaking, and that you're feeling bad about it, you know, isn't gonna fucking change it. Getting mired in the depression about the shittiness of humanity, it just ain't gonna change the shittiness of humanity. So there are some good things. There are some nice things. And it just feels better overall just to acknowledge the nice things when you see them. Like seeing someone ask someone for directions, and that person giving them directions in a friendly way. Like someone crippled or elderly walking gingerly onto the bus and seeing someone get up and give their seat to that person. That's nice. And it's nice, the places that put on events for children. And sometimes when I'm shelving as a librarian, I have to shelve children's books. And it's touching to look at all the picture books and board books. You know, just the innocence of them. There's no politics, there's no opinions. Just little books describing what a bird does. Or little stories about dinosaurs. Little touchy-feely books with fake fur. With a picture of a cat or a dog or a bunny rabbit, you know. The thing is there's, for the most part, generally speaking, as a philosopher, I can tell you that there's virtually no all bad people and no all good people. For the most part, every one of us is a mixture. You know, we've done bad things, we've done mean things in our life, done wrong things, knowingly wrong, we've done bad. But we've also done lots of good as well. And there's really no sense in being ashamed of the bad, nor being proud of the good. The good doesn't nullify the bad, and the bad doesn't nullify or make worthless the good. All you got is this ever fucking burning moment in the here and now. It's always here and now. And we often spend a lot of time, I think, looking back, or perhaps looking forward, And yet it's always now. The ever-burning now, and you don't know how much now you've got left in this physical form, this physical role. So there's something to be said for being nice just for the sake of being nice. My job is mostly customer service, and I just find it easier to be nice to people and to be generous, you know. To be friendly, to be helpful. But I don't suffer assholes very well. I sometimes have to pass them off to someone else who I know is a bit more of a bulldog than me. I like to be suave and smooth and calm-spoken. You know? I don't like to have to, you know, I don't like confrontation, let's put it that way. So sometimes you get people who are real assholes, just real fucking dicks. And but you keep in mind that nobody's really in control of how they are, of how they're being as a human being. If you take into consideration that as perfect spirits we plan these roles out before the Big Bang, and once the role begins for you, that's it, you're locked in. You're locked into the story that you thought out before the Big Bang. Not you as the human, but you as the eternal consciousness that is experiencing this human role and its human personality. And since you're the one that planned it all out to the tiniest details, because we as spirits spent so much time before the Big Bang planning out these roles in this world, we certainly want it to all come off as we planned it. So there has to be that law of destiny, if you will, where, you know, you do not have free will once the story begins for you. That's it. You're locked into the story. You're locked into the ride. You know, you could pray to whoever the fuck you want. You ain't changing your course. And keeping that in mind, that you planned it all before the Big Bang, and that you're locked into this destiny, well, if it's true for you, then it's true for everyone else as well. And it had to be. So, before the Big Bang, we thought out this particular physical life, and no doubt other lives as well, in collusion and collaboration with each other, with those who are going to be our friends and neighbors and co-workers and so on and so forth, in setting up this physical existence, this human existence, this physical world, the earth, space, the stars, the suns. It was like setting up a bunch of dominoes. You know, so it's all been perfectly planned out. And so if someone had just a moment of free will within this perfectly set out script, they would fuck the whole thing up for everyone. So in other words, if someone suddenly had free will within this destined world, and they decided to blow their brains out or blow out someone else's brains, and that wasn't in the script, well then it would topple every fucking domino. Every single living creature's life on this planet would be altered because of that. And we didn't want that, because we spent far more time thinking about and designing this human life than it will take for us to live out. I mean, I estimate we must have spent thousands of years. Even if you only live here 30 years or 70 years, you spent thousands of years planning out every moment of every day that was going to be your life in this fucking world, in this particular dream world. So being nice, like I say, is nothing to be proud of. And, you know, overall, you don't really have a choice over how you feel from day to day. You don't have any control over your moods. You don't really have any control over your circumstances, situations, or conditions. So I was going to make a video about how useless advice is, but it's not. It's not. It's part of the script, and part of the script is the illusion of learning, of receiving new information and making use of it. But I'm just saying, philosophically, when you look at the whole big picture from above, looking down, looking at it, you see that, there's nobody that's in control of how they feel. There's nobody in control of what they're doing or not doing, what they're thinking or not thinking, what they're believing or not believing. It's every single one of us is just doing and thinking and feeling whatever occurs to us moment to moment. And it can only occur to you if it had been intended to occur to you, if it had already been planned. So this life, psychologically, consciously, physically, it unfolds and unfurls moment to moment. And something can only unfold and unfurl if it's been rolled up in the first place. Just like the Big Bang itself, it had to have been packed in order to explode, so to speak. Explosion can't just occur out of nothingness. It has to be intended. And I'm happy to remind you that, for the most part, most of you severely underestimate your infinite intelligence as perfect eternal conscious energy. But I would point all around you. Look at how well it all holds together. Yeah. And look at how well we forgot. How well we forgot that we are perfect eternal conscious energy and that we are the creators of this physical existence. We're not creating it moment by moment. We created it before the Big Bang. If you look at all the objects in your room, any object in your room, if it's a man-made object, it did not appear out of nothingness on its own. It began as a thought. Some conscious entity, namely a human being in this world, had to think it up before they made it. Well, it's only yet, the tiniest microscopic fucking leap of faith to believe that everything that's nature made also began as a thought. Human beings are nature made. Well, human beings couldn't just appear out of nothingness. Even if you say everything started from a single-cell creature, well, that single-cell creature couldn't have existed out of nothingness. It couldn't have just appeared out of nothingness. Something had to think of it first for it to exist. And again, if you ask why would we want to experience these type of dream worlds and dream selves and dream lives? Why would we want to forget that we're perfect eternal conscious energy? Why would we want to forget that our home state of awareness is spiritual sanity and sobriety? And I'd say, well, consciousness is consciousness is consciousness. It needs contrast every once in a while. It gets dull and bored with the same old, same old. So even though our home state of awareness in reality heaven is, by human terms, bliss, well, after a while, just bliss, nothing to compare it to. It gets dull, it gets boring, and thank goodness we as spirits have imaginations and are able to imagine these fucking worlds. And we're able to forget our home state for a while. We're able to forget the truth for a while. So really, I was, and I'm still going to do so, make a video for the police. But it's popping up in my head at the moment, here and now, so... I mean, I would think that eventually a police officer, in order to preserve their sanity and not get burdened or weighed down by the vile shit that they have to see all the goddamn time on their jobs, whether it's, you know, the carnage left because of a car crash and they see human beings in pieces and whatever, whether it's that, or whether they, you know, find dead bodies, or you know, or just deal with really unbelievable hostile assholes and evil motherfucking people, you know. I would think it's some, in order to preserve their sanity, they have to have a way of looking at this world in such a way that it made sense to them, you know. Because clearly I think they see pretty early on that it's a never-ending job. It's a job that's going to be around for a long, long time to come. It's like if there was any hope that the police were going to save the world and rid the world of all crime, then it's like draining the ocean with a teaspoon. And so they can feel overwhelmed, I'm sure. But with the idea that this is all just a dream that we all intended, and that everyone that's playing a role here is actually perfect eternal conscious energy, perfectly equal and equally perfect to all others, spiritually, then it doesn't make the bad necessarily any less bad, but I should think that it would help you let yourself off the hook about it. You know, all you can do is give your fucking level best. Your best to be a decent human being, your best to be a police officer, and then and that's it. When the shift is over, you leave the fucking work at home. Or rather, I'm sorry, you leave the work on the job, you know, you don't bring it home with you. But I get the idea that perhaps for many cops, it's really, you know, it's a 24/7 job. You know, they still feel like a cop even when they're not wearing the fucking uniform and wearing the gun and the badge, you know. Their antenna is up, they're, you know, they're scanning things, they're alert, situational awareness at all times, you know. But overall, this was supposed to be a video about, I think, just promoting the idea that it's nice to be nice. And it feels nice to just acknowledge the nice things that you see in this world. Remember that, yeah, there's a lot of shit, there's a lot of evil in this world, and you may have even contributed to some of it, perhaps in your past, perhaps in the present, perhaps in the future. But overall, you know, there is goodness. And goodness, there's more goodness throughout humanity, and throughout, I think, each human life, than there is badness. But we certainly did not come here to be angels, and as we can tell by the fucking news, you know, there's loads of people that have been, you know, bandied about as being right honorable, noble, you know, people called priests and preachers and bishops and all that, and they've been up to fucking vile, horrible, fucking heinous behavior. So, yeah. But despite all them heinous assholes in this world, there is more good than evil. And even amongst the heinous assholes, there's more good about them. They've done more good than they have bad. But it shouldn't come as hypocrisy when I say that it's nice to be nice, and yet also can also, you know, admit to being pro-death penalty. I not only want the death penalty brought back, as both a deterrent and as a means for quenching vengeance, but I think that the death penalty should include cruel and unusual punishment. I think that the victims or their survivors, regarding people that have been sentenced to death, I think that the victims or their survivors should be able to choose how that person is put to death, and I think they should be allowed to kill the person how they want to kill the person, if they want to actually kill the person. So, like, take for example, there's this 16-year-old kid that's just been named. I've forgotten his name, but some kid in Scotland, 16 years old, abducted this 6-year-old girl from her bedroom, took her out in the woods, and brutalized her vagina, amongst other things, and of course murdered her. And someone like that, I if I was the mother or the father or the brother or basically anyone that knew the little girl, I would love to take a chainsaw to the motherfucker. Wouldn't you? Or maybe have a very deep pit with some alligators and crocodiles or whatever. Throw the motherfucker naked into that deep pit that he cannot climb out of, and watch him get eaten to death by them alligators or crocodiles. Or how about attaching him to some kind of pulley and ever so slowly dipping him into sulfuric acid, pure sulfuric acid. Just slowly let him get dipped into the sulfuric acid. I think that the death penalty, along with the provision of the allowance for cruel and unusual punishment, I think it would definitely act as a deterrent. And but more importantly, I think it would be a great source of quenching a thirst for vengeance. It's only human to thirst for justice and vengeance. And someone that, abducts children, brutally rapes them and murders them, does not deserve to exist in this world anymore. They're no good to society whatsoever. It's no good to society to keep them locked up in some fucking prison somewhere where they get treated better than our homeless people. So it's best to just kill them after they've been found guilty and sentenced to death. And when they are sentenced to death, they can appeal it straight away, and that appeal must be heard within 30 days, and as soon as their appeal has been rejected within that 30 days, on the day that they're notified that their appeal has been rejected is the day they will be executed. If the survivors or the victims don't want to personally kill or choose how that person is killed, executed, then they should be put to death by a firing squad. There should be no more lethal injection available as a means for execution. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I want to see people run over by steamrollers. I want to see them drawn and quartered whilst alive. I want to see them chainsawed, jackhammered, screwdrivered. Take a screwdriver to their eyes and their throat, or just take a sledgehammer to their fucking skull or their face. Absolutely. It's not nice. It's not nice at all for these families to be told that the person that's done this horrible thing to one of their family members, to one of their children, to be told that a motherfucker's got 19 years in prison and he'll probably get out in like 7 years for good behavior. I mean, that's not nice. It would be much nicer that those motherfuckers are put to death, whether by firing squad or some cruel and unusual way. That would be nice for society. That would be nice for the survivors. And then everybody knows that, hey, that monster ain't gonna do that to any more children. Ain't no way, no how, because that motherfucker's been chainsawed into 700 pieces. Oh? Yeah, well, what a strange little video, eh? It's nice to be nice, and then we finish up talking about cruel and unusual death penalties. But yeah, man, I just turned 55 on February 11th. And it's like, wow. I still feel like the same me that I've always known. But I know that my physical appearance is getting older. And time must be running out. Alan Watts almost made it to 59. But he died at 58. And Terence McKenna, was he 53? 53 or 54 when he died. And then you got someone like Bertrand Russell who lives to like 99 or some crazy shit. Oh yeah, what you doing, baby Kate? Did you want to say hi to the people? Hey? You want to say hi to the people? Come here, sweetheart. That's right, come here. Come and say hello to people. Say hello. Say hello, my name's Baby K. Yeah, she's a lovely girl. She's a night owl, aren't you? She pretty much sleeps all day and then she goes out and who knows what she gets up to out there at nighttime, eh? Cheesy bites. Yeah, well, what the hell else is there to say about this crazy video? Oh. I talked about it's nice to be nice. I didn't do a very good job about that. I talked about the police and perfect eternal conscious energy. And then I finished up talking about the fucking death penalty. How bizarre. Well, anyhow, it has been the 23rd of February, 2019. I have been your Philobabblist Extraordinaire, Alexander T. Newport, the only motherfucker on planet Earth talking to you about perfect eternal conscious energy. If you can find someone else talking about perfect eternal conscious energy, throw me a link. You ain't gonna find anyone else. And, yeah, it'd be groovy if you subscribe to this channel. Be groovy if you save this video to a playlist of some sort, even if it's just the favorites. And it'd be groovy if you hit the like button. Please leave comments if you got comments, if you got questions. Now's the time to ask me. Who the hell knows how much longer I've got on this planet? I can't believe I've made it to 55. I've been one of those people who always thinks he's going to be dead before such and such, and then he reaches such and such, says, well, I'll certainly be dead before such and such, and no, so it just keeps going. But, again, we don't know how much time we've got left. I'm the only motherfucker on the earth talking about perfect eternal conscious energy, so if you got any questions, you know, I'm the motherfucker to ask while I'm fucking alive. Other than that, be cool, fool.